All right, let's talk about haters. I'm going to put this under the category of attitude and getting your attitude right. So on today's Daily Hustle, we're talking about haters, troublemakers, and all-around negative doom people. And what you want to do is you want to guard yourself and your mind against these types of people. They exist out there, and they probably make up about 15% of the population on the internet. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on where you hang out online. If you hang out on YouTube videos where it's primarily younger people, you're going to see a lot more hate. If you hang out around certain subreddits on Reddit, you're going to see a lot more hate. But let's talk about this. This is a little mini series I want to do on brilliant things my Facebook friends say. And this is from Jonathan Sprinkles. I saved this post because it was so good and it really was poignant to me and really important. I want to just kind of talk in general about haters, but let me show you Jonathan's post. Jonathan is a world-class speaker, and he is amazing. If you ever get a chance to hear him speak, he is the bomb. I mean, just unbelievably good speaker that really gets his message across. He's got a program called Presentation Power where he actually helps you to present better from the stage, to present better in person, and all kinds of ways. So his post was this is the one I want to highlight right here. It says, question, have you ever met a hater doing better than you? Me neither. Hashtag move on, hashtag it can be done. Now, what I love about this is it's totally true, because the people that spend their time hating or being negative or being disillusioned or trying to put other people down, they're wasting a lot of mental energy that they could be using on being productive and making things happen. So most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, the hater is not doing any better than you. They're doing worse than you. In fact, they're probably doing a lot worse than you, and that's one of the reasons they hate. A lot of them come from the motivation of competition or scarcity. You know, they have a scarcity mindset. They don't think that there's abundance out there. And when you live like that, when you live like there's no abundance and it's a zero-sum game and anything somebody else is making is taking away from you, then you're going to lean towards being one of these haters. You're going to lean towards being overly competitive-minded and overly thinking that anybody who's doing better than you, you've got to knock them down one or two or three pegs. And unfortunately, that's a sad way to live, because the better way to live is to be positive, be focused, congratulate people when they win. You know, sometimes it's not easy because you see people win who you think, you know, I should be there. I should be achieving that success. But do it, because out of that abundance mindset comes more abundance for you. So the question, have you ever met a hater doing better than you? Me neither. That's so true. Let me give you a few examples of haters that I've encountered, and hopefully they can help you in encountering haters that you encounter on the internet. I had one recently where I did a course called Trending Merch Magic. And this course was all about how to get your Merch by Amazon shirts ranked high in Google rankings on the Google search engine. So let's say I have a shirt that says, I love my grandma. And let's say that I love my grandma is a trending topic right now. I would be able to get that shirt to the top of page 1 of Google for the term I love my grandma t-shirt. Okay. Now, when I posted some results, and I hid a few of the details because I didn't want everyone to see my t-shirt design, my actual shirt, and potentially copy it and all that, I had one or two people that specifically called me out on it and said, to the effect of saying, oh, anybody can post something like that, prove that you did it, show us that you can do it, you don't know what you're talking about. If they mentioned like 3 people who are SEO experts. If these people haven't done it, then you can't do it, blah, blah, blah. I just had to look at that and laugh because I knew what I had done. I knew that I had made it happen. I knew that I had gotten a lot of shirt designs to the top of Google, and I had a system for it. And it wasn't a simple system in terms of how I figured it out. It's a simple system to do, but it wasn't a simple system to figure out, in other words, to get the original idea. So, and it's taken me years and years and years of asking myself the question, am I able to rank an authority site like Amazon higher up? Am I able to influence Amazon's page, one of the pages on Amazon, to move it up to page 1 of Google? And finally, I had found this way to do it. And, I've been doing online marketing for 18 years. Okay. So this one person is comparing me to these people who are SEO experts and is basically putting these people on a pedestal, is like, if they can't do it, you can't do it. Who do you think you are? And that kind of thing. So I just had to laugh. So what I do, step 1 is I play it cool. And what I mean by that is I don't get overly flustered. I don't get overly emotional about a person's negative or aggressive response to something that I posted. The second thing I do is I answer them as if they had no ill intent. In other words, I answer them as if maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe, somebody kicked their dog that morning. Maybe they just got off rush hour traffic. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? That's step 2. Step 3 is I see how they respond. And if they respond negative again, I continue to play it safe and just, be positive and be very light with their conversation. I don't escalate. The next step is if I see that they're continuing to be aggressive and or getting even worse, then if they're part of my Facebook group, which this person was, then I remove them and I block them and they're gone. Okay. Now, the thing about haters and the thing about people who are aggressively anti-you is you've got to get them out of your life as soon as possible. Okay. Immediately if possible. And the reason is they are like a cancer. They can grow, but not only can they grow in their negativity and their aggressiveness, but they can start to affect your attitude very, very quickly. The other thing is they can also negatively affect the other people's attitude. So if you run a Facebook group, for example, or some kind of online community, and you've got these people being aggressively negative in your community, it's your responsibility to get them out of your community as soon as possible to keep the attitude of the group good and positive. Because the minute you allow that kind of negativity in your group, it's going to fester and it's going to grow, and other people will go, oh, it's okay to be this way in this group, and now you've got a big mess on your hands. So that's basically what I did with this person. She was questioning my knowledge, questioning my ability. I was like, okay, that's fine. The first few steps, okay. You totally have the right to disagree with me. You totally have the right to not believe what I'm saying. Fine, totally okay. But then when it got kind of personal, she started attacking me personally and started to really show her true colors, that it was going to be really intense and serious. She's out of here, blocked. And that was the way it went. Let me give you another example. Back when my infomercial was going really strong, I used to have an infomercial about how to sell on eBay. And I had a book and DVD set that we sold on TV. And it was seen by millions of people across America, literally. The infomercial ran for 11 years, so it was literally seen by millions and millions of people. What happened as a result of that is people started buying Google ads using my name as a keyword, Dave Espino, or Dave Espino infomercial, or Dave Espino is a scam, or Dave Espino in jail. All this stuff that was sensationalistic. And they would run these ads next to my name so that when somebody was watching the infomercial and was doing a Google search, they would see these ads that said all these negative things about me. They would see these ads that said, Dave Espino scam, ? Dave Espino in jail, ? All these things. And what they were working to do, what they were trying to do was basically hijack traffic of people that were searching my name or searching for my product. Let's pretend these are Google ads over here, okay? You clicked on this one, it said something negative about Dave Espino. You clicked on it, it would take you to a page, and on their page, they would kind of pretend like they were reviewing my product, okay? And they would say, Dave Espino's product is okay. It shows you a few good things about eBay, but it's really not the best, blah, blah, blah. The whole idea was to get them from being interested in Dave Espino to moving them into their product, what they were wanting to sell. So at the end, it would be like, well, if you want to sell on eBay, that's okay, but I found a much better opportunity, and here it is. And then they would link to their opportunity. So I learned through that experience that people have all kinds of different motives for being negative about you. In that case, the motive was, let me hijack this traffic that's being driven by the infomercial. People are spending millions of dollars on this infomercial, getting it out there on TV. Let me buy some cheap Google ads and drive the traffic to my opportunity and change people's minds. It's a horrible strategy, but people kept running ads and ads and ads for 11 years like that. So that was horrible to me. I mean, I hated the idea that people were using my name and using the infomercial that we worked so hard to produce to drive traffic to some questionable opportunity of theirs. But that's something that happened. And it's amazing how someone can, just with an unpure profit motive, they can kind of ruin somebody's name just because they want to make money off of that traffic. Let's talk about another type of person that you might encounter online, and that is, I teach a lot of online courses, and there are often people who will have a lot of questions online. At least this is what I've heard from some fellow instructors. I don't really get this problem very often, and I think the reason I don't get this problem is I try to handle it up front. When I create an online course, I make sure that every question that could possibly be asked in that course is actually taken care of in the course itself. By doing that, my students have very few questions that they ask in the course. Okay, so that's one step. You kind of take care of it up front. But I have heard of instructors who say, Dave, I have this student and they just constantly are asking me tons and tons of questions. In effect, it's like I'm coaching them, in my course. And in other words, this student has gone way beyond what a normal student should be asking. And now they're getting the equivalent of being coached one-on-one by the instructor. So my answer to that person or those instructors is, first, try to take care of all these questions in your course itself. Make sure that any question you might have, that somebody might have about your topic, is answered in the course. How do I do this? Number one, when I'm creating my course outline, I start with every question that anybody might have. I write all the questions down that anyone might have about my topic, and then I organize the questions in a good, correct flow from one topic to the next topic to the next, so that it flows very naturally, it flows very easily from one topic to the next. That way, if somebody has a question, maybe they didn't really pay attention to the course, maybe they didn't take notes, you can point them and you could say, hey, look, that question's answered in lecture 4 of the course. Go back and check that out. Or that question's answered in lecture 12, of the course. Here's a link to it, or whatever, right? But in those cases where somebody is just almost belligerently trying to take up a lot of your time, you've got to just be strong and say, look, I appreciate that you have a lot of questions, and some of these have been very helpful to my other students. However, I'm going to have to ask you to stop asking these questions. Or say something along the lines of, I don't have the time to do personal one-on-one coaching here, and I no longer do it, outside of Udemy or outside of wherever. So, thank you for your questions. I'm going to have to move on. Something along the lines where you're telling them, but you're telling them politely, look, my time is valuable. I've answered enough of your questions and it's time to move on. That would be step 1. Step 2 would be that if they continue with that, then you contact Udemy and you explain to them, this student has taken an undue amount of my time. Step 3, another option is to simply not answer the question. If somebody comes at you and they have like 10 questions, and some of those are clearly answered in the course itself, you might want to say, your questions are good questions, but most of them are answered in the course itself. I would recommend that you review the course one more time and take notes and specifically look for those answers in the course. They're there for you. The answers are there for you. Something along those lines. So let me come back here to Jonathan's first point. Haters have the exact amount of attention you give them. Okay? And that's the point. You are in control of the amount of attention you give the hater or the time waster. You're in control. don't cede that control to that person. You stay in control. You be willing to be a little rough, be a little tough on them, and let them know, my time is valuable. The more convicted you are about your time being valuable, the easier it's going to be to do this. And keep in mind, you're not being a jerk to the person. You're being cognizant and aware of your time limits, the limits on your time that you place on yourself. You're in charge of your time. So in everything that you run across, make sure that you're always aware of these people. So there are people who just live to troll you. There are people who, I used to run a very large online community for vintage Hot Wheels collectors. And it was actually the world's largest online community for vintage Hot Wheels collectors. We had something like, 8,000 or 9,000 members. And there was this one guy who was trolling me constantly. And at the time, I didn't know how to follow these guidelines. I didn't know the rules of time management and how important my time was. And more importantly, how important my attitude was. And this guy just worked on my mind and worked on my mind and worked on my mind until it was just becoming disastrous. It was becoming horrible. And so I've been there before. I've been to where, you feel like, how can I get out of this? This person just keeps goading me and goading me. You've got to be aware of your time and nip it in the bud. Let me give you one more. Just yesterday, my son wanted to buy a handheld game, a DS, Nintendo DS, right? And it was available on Let Go, which is one of these local marketplaces that you can find it on an app on your phone. And I asked the guy, hey, my son is interested in buying it for $30. And he said, when can you come get it? Something like that. And I said, this evening at 6 p.m. And then I said, does it work? Just a common thing that you would ask somebody, does it work? And he says, what makes you think I would sell something that doesn't work, man? And right away, my antenna went up. And I was like, oh, this guy's kind of off. Like, he's taking it personal that I asked him, does it work? When, frankly, that's something anybody would ask, right? Before you go buy something, you want to know it works, especially if you're buying in the used marketplace. So I forget what I answered, but as it turned out, I ended up stopping communication with this person and blocking them because they were just continuing to be aggressive toward me, and I don't even know them. They don't even know me, So amazing. So just nip it in the bud. Here's one last example. Oftentimes I'll get what I call Troublemaker subscribers. Okay, I've got a big email list of subscribers, and I've got people on there from all different walks of life, all different types of people. And so sometimes I'll send out an email offering either one of my courses or somebody else's course as an affiliate, right? And the person will come back at me. They'll respond to the email with something so negative and so aggressive and so angry that the first thing I do is I take them off my email list. I unsubscribe them. Well, I don't unsubscribe them. I delete them off my email list. Why? I don't need that hassle. No subscriber, is worth that kind of aggravation. Some people say, oh, you want to build your email list, you want to, every subscriber is worth X amount of money or whatever. That's kind of a weird way to look at it. It's true though, but no subscriber is worth aggravation to me. So the minute somebody gives me attitude, like a really harsh negative attitude, or really kind of questioning my integrity or questioning what I'm saying or questioning that I've achieved the results that I've achieved, they're gone. I don't have even a minute to spend on that person. And I definitely don't want them being my subscriber if they're going to have that kind of attitude toward me. So be aware of all of this. This falls under mindset so importantly. Be aware of all these people that could potentially come at you, and they're shooting their pea shooters at you, and even just a pea shooter, if they keep hitting the same spot, is going to cause some damage, right? So get rid of them as soon as possible. Now, having said all that, we need to also treat the people who love us and who do like us really, really well. Always be appreciative of those people who do follow you, who like you, who subscribe to you, who are positive toward you. Don't just be aggressive towards the haters and then just kind of take the people who like you for granted. Always be appreciative of all your subscribers and people who are following you and people who like you. And then you'll be on the right track. So this went a lot longer than I expected, but this is all about haters, troublemakers, and negative attitude people. You don't need them in your life. Look, no amount of profit, no amount of money, no amount of income is worth dealing with somebody like this. If I have had opportunities to work with very big deals. We're talking deals that would make me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've turned them down because the match was not correct. The person that I was going to match with or work with was not correct. I've had opportunities where I almost got into deals with people who were not of the highest integrity. And those, I'm thankful, I did not get into. So be careful with who you associate with. Always work with people you can trust, people that have good integrity, people who like you, people who will work with you, and get rid of the haters as soon as possible. Whichever way that needs to be done. Just because somebody bought a product from you does not mean they have to stay your customer, right? That's why I love teaching some of my courses on Teachable, is because if somebody is aggressive toward me or does a refund on me or whatnot, I can turn them off of that school. I can have them not be in that course anymore automatically, just with a switch of a button, and it's done. So remember, keep the haters out of your life. They don't have to be in your life. You're in control. They only have the amount of attention that you give them, and most of the time they're not doing better than you either. So that's today's Daily Hustle. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow.